Hello, I'm Debi O'Donovan. I'm Director of the Reward and Employee Benefits Association, and I'm here today with Eve Read, who's Head of Financial Wellness at Mercer. Eve, you and I have been talking about the gender gap that we see in pensions. The latest ONS figures on the pay gap shows that the gap is 18.1%. But your recent research shows that when it comes to pensions, the gender gap is a massive 39.5%. Why on earth are we seeing such a huge gap in pensions between men and women?
So clearly pay is a major contributor to this. And if we look at the core data, then actually it suggests that's around half of the issue. But if you look at full-time pay for males versus females, that sits currently, according to the ONS, at 9.4%. But there are other influences that impact pay and also therefore pension. The number of years that a female participates in the workforce tends to be lower than males. They take time out more dominantly than men for caring leave, whether that be for children, but increasingly now for elderly relatives as well. In addition, when females do participate in the workforce, the years that they are in work for, on average, they tend to work part-time hours more often than a male. That also influences pay and pension. Other factors are access to pensions. So where a female might need a more flexible working pattern, they might actually use several roles to contribute to their full working hours in the week, which means that they might not be breaching auto-enrolment thresholds, so they might not even have access to a pension at all. And then the last factor, which is quite important, is investment choices. On average, again, females tend to take a less risky decision on their investment choices, which means in the longer term they get less growth than a male of their pension fund.
That's a really interesting point that you raise about investment. Why do women take a less risky choice than men?
This is a really active area of research within the industry at the moment. I think it's quite clear that we do take different decisions, data tells us that, but understanding why and how we can influence that for different decisions is where the research is really active. Is it because actually we need better communications, a higher level of understanding and comfort with taking a risky decision, what looks like a risky decision from the outset? Or is it because actually we think we have a different appetite to risk, a different level of confidence in pushing for that we actually put ourselves into a lower level of risk profile, which influences the outcome of our funds? As I say, it's a very heavily researched area at the moment, and I think there is something in understanding how communications and what we as a pensions industry do and how that influences the choices that both men and women make.
I'm sure employers are going to want to reduce that enormous 39.5% gap. What kind of things can they be looking at implementing at their organisations?
There are a number of things that a company can do. Lots are already thinking about financial wellness and awareness raising, and this could become part of that. Additionally, through D&I networks, female focused networks, they can raise awareness. They can potentially ask some experts to come in and talk about their staff. They could provide them access to financial advice if that's what's right for some employees. So there are a number of things that they can do. It's just working out what's right for their workforce.
So Eve, when you're speaking to employers and they say, what can I say to my staff? What can I educate them on to help them so that they don't have a big gap in their pensions in the future? What would you suggest? What actions can they take?
So I think it's important for them to help people to understand where they are right now. What pension provision do they have already? What do they currently receive from the company that will contribute towards future pension provision? Then help them to understand the impact of the decisions that they make at the moment, the life choices they make, both on pay but also on pension as well. And then finally, for an individual, not to assume that they're risk averse and make according investment decisions, but to actually really, truly understand their risk profile.
So Eve, if you were going to say to employers, if there's one thing they do tomorrow when they go into the office, what would it be?
It would definitely be to raise awareness, Debbie. I think we all have a responsibility here. We understand the issue, but there are lots of people who don't, and actually they're the ones we need to be talking to about this.
Thank you very much, Eve, and hopefully by doing this video and sharing your time with us, we are raising this awareness about this huge gap in pensions that exist today.